And in Hong Kong, what do you speak?
Cantonese.
Cantonese. Yeah. Okay. Yes.
Actually, we speak different language with like mainland China, and our word that we are writing is similar with the Taiwan.
Oh,
That
okay.
one. Yeah, we are traditional Chinese word, but in China they're using simple Chinese word.
I see. Okay. Very cool.
So we always mention that our language are different. The word we are writing are different. So, but now China is want to turn Hong Kong become part of China.
Yes.
Yeah, and I heard my friends saying that they see a lot of immigrants from China right now.
Oh,
And then when
because
yeah.
they want to move to Hong Kong to get out of China, or do you mean to Vancouver?
Move to Hong Kong. So people from mainland start to move from Hong Kong, and then like the Chinese government, they start to like promote people need to speak Mandarin in the school.
Yes.
Yeah, so now my friend said in the street they heard a lot of young people speaking in Mandarin.
I see.
Yeah, and then so we are losing our culture. So now why I start my society is because like I hope do something for Hong Kong people, even I'm in Canada. So I'm thinking like how can we pass our culture to the next generation? Because you know when people immigrant to a new country,
Yes.
they need to like settle down and then how they preserve their own culture at the same time. Yeah.
That's tough. Yeah.
Yeah, and then, like especially for the next generation, the Hong Konger they born in here. So maybe they will completely forgot what is Cantonese.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's very interesting. Sometimes when the kids go up, they want to like try to find what is their hometown, their languages, something like that. And then I think in here, like people try to put their kid to the Chinese school to learn Cantonese. But I think sometimes like the kid maybe will have, how to say that, they won't enjoy learning in that way. So that's why I try to bring up some like art workshop, cultural workshop, Hong Kong Culture Day. I hope to attract the kid to come, like when they're watching drama, like listening to Hong Kong music, they can enjoy and can make them feel interested what is Hong Kong culture.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they will search for it by themselves, not is forced by their parents to do that.
And Mika's fine here.
Oh, she's a good girl.
She's a great girl. Well, welcome, Veronica. It's a pleasure to have you on the podcast.
Hello, Andy. Thanks for inviting me here.
Of course. For people who don't know, I met Veronica through Tiffany, which is my friend Carla, and you're from Hong Kong.
I'm from Hong Kong, and I currently live in Calgary.
In Calgary, Canada. And how long have you lived in Calgary for?
Almost 3 years.
3 years. And why did you leave Hong Kong?
Because of the 2019 social movement in Hong Kong. I don't know you know how many about that?
I know very little, so why don't you elaborate?
Actually, during that time, we have an incident. And then, so the Hong Kong government, they try to do an extradition law. So that they said that, if someone convict the law in Hong Kong, so they can pass that guy go back to China. And then so people think that, so maybe if we are having a law like this, some pro-democratic movement people, they will be sent to China afterwards.
So I misunderstood the law. So what was the law that they passed?
Extradition law.
Extradition to China. So if you break a law in Hong Kong, then they can extradite you to China.
Yes.
And if you're a Hong Kong citizen, you don't want you don't like this.
we don't like this because we think that, oh, maybe we will be suddenly catch to China if we say something that make the Chinese Communist Party they don't like. So they may catch us in a more like in a, how to say that, it's like it's a law already. So they make you make up that, oh, we already conflict that law, so we can be sent back to China.
And is it only Hong Kong laws or any law in China, like that from the rule that you break?
I think it's the Hong Kong laws.
Okay.
Yeah, but Hong Kong is having the common law, so they're different with China. So Hong Kong before it belonged to UK.
I knew that.
Yeah. So during that time, 2 million people went to protest to stop the government. And then the government said, oh, we will postpone the law. So it's just like that. But people start thinking that, oh, now the Hong Kong government is not the past Hong Kong government. Like the Chinese Communist Party, they're trying to change Hong Kong. And then the freedom of Hong Kong is disappearing.
And when did it start disappearing?
I think it's during the past 10 years, like the Chinese government tried to control the economic of Hong Kong. Like they send a lot of visitors from mainland China to Hong Kong. And then so the Hong Kong economy is greatly relied on Chinese tourists that time. And then they also, like in my generation, we need to learn Mandarin in school.
So that was a new thing that they added, that during your generation, they said if you're going to a school in Hong Kong, you have to learn Mandarin.
Yeah, we have to learn Mandarin. And then recent year, they start to invite the school to use Mandarin to teach Chinese. But in Hong Kong, we speak Cantonese. So we are thinking that, oh, they're trying to destroy our own culture and then turning Hong Kong into just part of the China, not an international city anymore.
And how long was Hong Kong independent or belonging to the UK?
I think it's just because UK returned Hong Kong to China since 1997.
So in 1997, it split? Or when did it split from China?
It returned to.
It returned to China.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and Hong Kong was occupied by UK for 99 years.
Almost 100 years.
Almost 100 years.
Wow.
And then that time is, some people, they may say that UK government, they didn't give us a chance to vote. Because for others country that occupied by UK before, they have a chance to vote they want to be independent or not. But that time, Hong Kong people, they don't have that chance.
In 2000 or in 1995.
1997.
1997. In 1997, the UK government did not give you guys the option to be independent.
No.
They just rolled you into China.
Yeah.
And what was the reason for that, or what was the pressure, or?
Because that time I think they try to be friendly with the Chinese government, because that time Chinese government economic is going. So I think the Western countries, they want to build a good relationship with China. And I think that time is a really good intention. They want to change China. They hope China can have freedom. So they think, oh, maybe just my guess, maybe I return Hong Kong to you. You can see, oh, Hong Kong under UK control have the freedom of speech, freedom of press, and then the law is very nice. So maybe China will follow Hong Kong.
Oh.
And then can become part of the Western world.
I see. So during the rule of where you're under the British Crown, you had freedom of speech, freedom of press, some of these things. And then you were hoping that China, when you when Hong Kong returned to China that they'd adopt some of those policies.
Yeah, and then but some people they don't believe that China will follow it. So actually, the Chinese government they also promised that Hong Kong will not change for 50 years.
For 50 years.
Yes, and then but some people they don't believe it, and then so they try to immigrants to U.S., Canada. So that is I think it's the second immigration wave of Hong Kong.
Out of Hong Kong.
Yeah, out of Hong Kong.
In 95 or?
1997.
No,
Before
excuse me, I keep saying 95. I don't know why. 97.
Is it your birthday?
No. I think I don't know why, but like I got on this 97 loop for some reason. But in 97, it started the second immigration wave out of China.
Yes.
Or excuse me, out of Hong Kong.
Yeah, out of Hong Kong.
And when was the first immigration wave?
It's 1989.
1989.
Yeah, that time there is a Tiananmen incident.
What kind of incident?
It happened in Beijing. So I think it's hundreds or thousands students were killed by the Chinese Communist Party that time because they are going to protest. They just want more freedom and democracy. And then the Chinese government just used the army to kill them.
100,000 people?
Yeah. So I think it's like thousands.
Thousands.
Over thousands. Yeah.
100,000s or just thousands?
Just thousands.
Thousands.
Yeah,
my
but
bad. Thousands.
we don't have any record.
Okay.
So people just guessing it's thousands.
And so that happened in Beijing. And then in Hong Kong, people were nervous. And so they also left Hong Kong.
Yeah, like you see, a government can kill you just overnight. Yeah. And then so people thinking, oh, maybe one day they will do such thing to Hong Kongers. And they're right. Like in 2019, the police just go crazy. And then during the protest, they use a lot of tear gas to harm our citizens in Hong Kong.
And was this the Hong Kong military or the Chinese military?
It's just the Hong Kong police.
Okay.
But some people suspicious there's some Chinese military join the police force.
I see. And so just describe that movement. So like from what I heard from you, they tried to pass a law about the extradition.
Yeah.
But sounds like there was other stuff going on in 2019 as well.
Yeah, and that time is during the how people stop, and then people think, oh, we already have 2 million people came out, but the government still don't listen to us, and people try to they reflect on how the Hong Kong government now look like. So people, some of them want to have more, like we want to get back our freedom. Yeah, and then we want to you promise us give us 50 years. But now it's just 20-something years. So people just want, even some of them even say Hong Kong have to independent.
Two independents in Hong Kong.
Yeah, so leave China to become an independence country or return to UK.
So this is what they want to do?
Some of them want to do that.
To either go back or become completely independent. And so all this was kind of talked about in 2019.
Yes.
I see. And this extradition law was kind of like the catalyst for all the protests? Yeah,
it triggered the afterward movement. We have 5 requests that time to the government. And then I remember one of that is for we won an election for the Hong Kong chief executive. Yeah.
Okay.
Because I thought it's 2016, the Chinese government promises will give us this election, the public election. So everyone in Hong Kong can vote our chief executive.
Is that like a president or?
A president in Hong Kong. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but they didn't make this promise happen.
I see.
Yeah.
So and that was in 2016, 2017, you said?
Yeah.
And then in 2019, 2 years later, they were expecting to go on their word, and they said no, or it
They
just didn't
said-
happen.
They said, like, I will give you 2 candidates to choose. But this 2 candidate is picked from the Chinese Communist Party first.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, very interesting.
It's not a decision at that point.
Yeah, so actually it's many anger and disappointment accumulate during the past 10 years. So the protest in 2019 is just a trigger point for people to like express all their anger and disappointment.
And then that's when the police got involved to restrict your rights.
Yeah, and then police, they're very rude and they really hurt a lot of young people. So one of our requests is like we need to punish those police force. Yeah, because some people even suspect some young people they are being killed after arrest.
I see. And then nothing happened with that? Like, where the police, did they have consequences or?
No, they don't have any. Like, even they cover their number.
They come for their what?
Because before they have a number on their uniform, and then that time they cover their number.
Oh, so the police had like a badge number,
Yeah,
and they would
yeah.
cover that when they
Yeah,
were.
so you can't make any complaint to them.
Oh, wow.
And they just like, even they have collaboration with some gangster in some rural area. And then that time when some people go back home, there is one night, some gangster go out and then they just hit everyone in the train station. And
They
then
hit them.
They hit them. And then just saying that, oh, you are like back from the protest. So
Wow.
you are bad people. So we need to teach you. So they hit them.
Wow. So they beat up the people who were returning home. Wow.
Yeah.
No consequences. No
No.
trial. Nothing like that.
No, and then the police there's one police there, and then he just turned back. And then he just ignored what is happening. And then
I
that
see.
night when one of them, we are trying to call the police, and then the line are busy, and then even some people went to the police station, tried to report the case. The police just closed the door.
Wow.
Yeah. And then so hard to imagine the police is not protecting their people.
Wow.
Yeah.
So they had gangsters beating people up, and then the police just basically shut down for.
Yeah. And the
Wow.
police arrived after 1 hour, and then saying that, oh, I just received the complaint. But people are keep calling them. Yeah, and then so many people think they have collaboration with those gangsters. And then also after this case, there's another case is like police went into the train station and hit people there.
Wow.
Yeah, and they said, oh, all of them are from the protest. So all of them are doing like riots.
Riots.
Yeah. So all of them are convict the law. So, but I think why you can hit them? Like they don't have any weapon on their hands. They just have the umbrella.
What was the protest nonviolent?
At the beginning, it is non-violent, but later, some of the Hong Kong people think we have to do much more.
So when the police and the government implemented some of those brutal policies, like beating up to the citizens, then the riots or they got more violent.
They didn't hurt anyone actually. So the so-called violent is just like because when we're doing protests, a lot of the protesters they are very like peaceful. So, but the police they're trying to have tear gas and trying to hit people
Yes.
and trying to like arrest people. And then so there's some part of most of them young people, they think we need to protect the people behind us. So they come forward and then they try to use an umbrella, use water to put off the tear gas, and then use umbrella to try to protect us from the bullets. And then
So they were firing bullets in the crowd?
I think it's like something similar with tear gas, but when some people hit it, they also will get serious hurt.
Yeah, like if you get hit in the face with those canisters, it can hurt a lot.
Yeah,
Yes.
and some police they intend to shoot it very closely to people. Yeah.
Wow.
So I think they only make some like fire, like some gas bottle, and then fall back to the police. But it's really, really minimum. Yeah.
I see. So it in your opinion, it's more self-defense.
Yeah, I think it's more self-defense that time. Yeah.
And then so this was going on. It started in 2019. And then what's the state now? Like what's been happening since?
Start from 2019, and then I think we have protests every weekend
Every weekend.
until COVID.
And then in COVID, it was mandatory shutdown.
Yeah. And then because that time people are afraid to go out. And then they also the government also, they implant like national security law. So it make people become more afraid.
And what's the national security law?
The national security law is saying that, if anyone like criticizing the Chinese Communist Party and making people think that they have negative image, hurting their reputation, so you will be arrested.
Wow.
So it just not apply to Hong Kongers, but apply to everyone in the world, and then in everywhere.
You mean the law says anybody in the world, or anybody in China, or
It doesn't really said that, but it said like if some people doing this, they are convicted law and they can be arrested.
wow.
So even some U.S. consular, I think they already convict the law also. So because if you criticize China or Hong Kong government, yeah.
I see. So if you criticize the Chinese government or the Communist Party, and you go to China,
Yeah.
then they can arrest you.
Yeah.
Wow. Just for criticizing or speaking your mind.
Criticizing. So like just now, I talked to you about
Yes.
some bad thing about China or Hong Kong. So if I go back to Hong Kong later, I can be arrested.
Wow.
So that's why even Hong Konger in overseas, they're afraid about the national security law. So even there in overseas, we don't have the freedom of speech.
Wow.
And then just a few of us will speak out. Even we are doing the protest in Canada, many people, they will cover their face. Because if you do protest here, you can be arrested when you go back to Hong Kong.
And you have protested here, correct?
Yes.
So what's your plan? Like you won't go back to Hong Kong?
I won't go back to Hong Kong because it's very scary, and my friend will like worry about me. And then because like just in the beginning of this year, a Hong Kong girl, she's studying in Japan, and then during her study, she left some message in her Facebook like, Hong Kong should be independent, or like criticizing the Chinese government. And then when she go back to Hong Kong, she was arrested.
Wow. For just posting on her Facebook.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we don't know how the Chinese government, they're monitoring us. I even heard my friend saying that he has family in Hong Kong. And one time his family was like criticizing the Hong Kong government in a restaurant. And then a few days later, they receive an anonymous call. And they're just saying that don't speak too much.
Wow. So they're just talking in the bathroom, and then they get an anonymous phone call where,
In the restaurant.
wow.
Yeah, so they just talk in the restaurant and then get anonymous call to warn them, don't talk too much. So, and then also now, because I have a friend in Hong Kong, they're teacher, they're social worker, and then now the school require them to swear that you are obey to the basic law and also obey to the Hong Kong and Chinese government if you want to do your job in school.
So it's like a pledge, or describe what they have to do to like sign something.
Yeah, they need to sign something and then like promise they won't talk about political things to the students.
If they want to teach.
Yeah.
So if you want to teach in Hong Kong right now, you have to sign documents saying that you won't criticize the government or speak about politics or things like this.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, even the teacher and then the student, they need to attend a class called national security class. So in that class, they will teach that they have to love their country. And then something like that, like they just want to turn Hong Kong student to be very obey to the Chinese Communist Party.
And when did this start?
I think it's also within this 1 year. Yeah.
Within the last year, like
Yeah.
like 2022 or 2023, something like this.
After the national security law.
Wow. So what's the average citizen in Hong Kong like? What do they feel in this moment?
I think a lot of them want to move to other countries, and we have data showing that there is 200,000 Hong Kong people moved to other countries within the past 3 years.
3 years. 200,000 people moved out.
Yeah.
And what's the size of Hong Kong?
I don't know, but it's like smaller than Vancouver, smaller than Calgary.
Really? So like Vancouver has like 1.5, 2 million people, something like this. So it's less.
Hong Kong have 8 million people,
8 million.
but we have a very, very small land. So it's very crowded.
I see. Okay. 8 million people.
Yeah, 8 million.
And they lost 200,000, which is a very large percentage of the population.
Very large.
And the younger generation you were talking earlier, like they are starting to obey or listen more, or they're more are they more in line with their parents? Like is it? I guess what I'm trying to ask, the Chinese government's trying to implement policies, like you were saying, to make people obey. Do you see the younger generation? Are they obeying more, or like what's your perspective on that?
I don't know actually, because I haven't been to Hong Kong for 3 years already. So I don't know how the young people right now. Yeah, but during the protest, I see very young people, like some 8 years old people. They know what happened. They want to stand up. Yeah, and then like the student now in university, that time a lot of them was joining the movement. Yeah, so, but I don't know how they're doing now. Yes. But I believe that once you are awake, you can't sleep again.
Once you're what? I'm sorry.
It's like that once you know that the Chinese government party, they're controlling you, and then you can't accept it anymore. Like,
Yes.
yeah.
I know what you mean. And are there any people who that you know or like friends of yours that are okay with or accept or like the change, like to like the Communist Party?
Of
Is-
course, in here
yeah.
a lot, especially in Vancouver.
There's a lot of people who like it in Vancouver.
Yeah, some seniors or some middle-aged people,
I
like
see. Like people from Hong Kong.
people from Hong Kong, because that time it's very interesting. Like that time in 1989, they're afraid of the Chinese government. They don't trust them, so they moved to Vancouver or Canada. But during the recent 20 years, they saw, oh, China become very strong and they are very powerful to become a Chinese.
I see.
Yeah, so they suddenly like stand in the Chinese Communist Party that side. So also the media, the Chinese media here, most of them, they're controlled by the Chinese government.
How is that possible? How is the media in Vancouver controlled by the government of
Like
China?
the Chinese TV station, like the Fairchild, they are controlled by part of them are controlled by a TV company in Hong Kong, and that TV company are controlled under the Chinese government.
So they broadcast out of Hong Kong into Vancouver?
Yes.
Oh,
so
okay.
the news, what they pick in Hong Kong is like trying to frame that, oh, the protester, they are very violent and they are not obeyed. So many people in Vancouver, they are receiving such news. So
I see.
if they don't search other news online, they will think, oh, that's the truth. That's what happened in Hong Kong. So the police, they're doing the right thing. So the protester, they're against her. They will think in
Wow.
that way. So that's why some of the people in Vancouver, they will support Chinese government.
So is anybody working to prevent that or to counteract that propaganda?
I think that time some people try to in Hong Kong. We do some newspaper advertisement in different country, but I don't think that will have a great effect because when what they see is a daily news, so they just keep brainwashing them. So in here, I also not just the senior, some people similar with my age. She also said, oh, my parents show me those news. And every day I receive those news from the TV, the Chinese television. What I see and heard is so different from you. So I don't know the fact. What is the fact? Yeah.
Wow.
So I think it's like, what we can do is just like, because now we have a lot of Hong Kong immigrants come to Canada or other part of the world, other countries. So I think we can just like speak to the people we know and then tell them what happened in 2019.
And is nobody in Vancouver trying to make news, either podcast or a TV station or a radio, like in Mandarin or Cantonese, giving the true Hong Kong news?
Sadly, no, but I know there is a YouTuber. His channel is called Hong Kong Station. So he is doing something similar with that. Yeah.
I see.
But you said, oh, it's paper news? No.
Okay.
TV? No. So the traditional media, we don't have anyone doing things like this because I know because it need a lot of money.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's hard, but that is really a part we need to think of and work on it.
So, does this bring you like sadness or like how do you feel about like Hong Kong now? Like when you think about Hong Kong, what are the feelings that you have inside?
I feel sad, and then I really worry about the people now in Hong Kong because I know some young people, they don't have BNO to move to UK, and then they don't have the money to move there, and then maybe their parents support the Chinese government, so they don't have any support, and then even some young people, they're in jail right now. When they go out from the jail, they can't find a proper job, and then they even need to still stay in Hong Kong.
Wow. And your parents, are they still in Hong Kong?
Oh, my parents is like already in heaven. So
Okay.
yeah.
My father passed away too. So,
Oh,
yes.
sorry to hear about that.
I'm sorry to hear about your parents. Yes.
Yeah, so I just worry the people in Hong Kong, and then because like Hong Kong is no longer the Hong Kong I know, and then I think what makes Hong Kong is the people there.
For sure.
Yeah.
Do you think, or do you still stay in contact with the people in Hong Kong, or is that hard for you?
I still will contact my friend in Hong Kong, but they said, oh, you need to be very careful. Like, yeah, I think so, because I also need to protect them. I know some people, they are doing a lot related to the lobbying to the government in different countries. They don't contact their friend in Hong Kong or family in Hong Kong anymore because they want to protect them.
I see. So you and they are afraid that if you stay in contact with your friends in Hong Kong and you do something that the Chinese government does not like,
Because it happened.
then they'll attack your friends.
Yeah, recently there is a Hong Kong protester before. He moved to here and he is a kind of leader. And then the Chinese government and Hong Kong government just announced that, oh, they just will give away $1 million if someone can help to arrest him.
And this guy, where did he live?
I think it's Australia or US.
Wow.
Yeah, and then so that guy, his brother was arrested later.
Wow.
So people think, oh, they will try to arrest your family. And then
And his brother lived in
Hong Kong.
Oh, I see. So like are you afraid speaking your mind in Vancouver? Like are you afraid that you'll be under attack or from the government of China?
I think for my position is quite safe right now because I didn't touch any like political things. I didn't lobby any MP councillor here. So what I do, I'm doing some cultural things.
Yes.
So I think I should be okay, but I won't take the risk to go back to Hong Kong.
I see.
Because I think doing something related to culture is also an approach of like Chinese government and Hong Kong government right now. Like recently, I see that the Hong Kong government, they spend more money to do promotion in overseas, even in Calgary. When I go to different festival, I saw Hong Kong government, they have sponsored the festival, and then in some musical, they will play some video to promote Hong Kong. Yeah, so I'm thinking, oh, they're also trying to doing something, building their positive images again, and then try to attract people to go back to Hong Kong, and then try to establish their images to the world that, oh, they're still the same Hong Kong.
And how do you know that they were funding those events from China or from Hong Kong? Like how did you find out they were sponsored, or is it blatant?
Because they will show that, who sponsored this event. And I watched a musical recently, and then they are sponsored by the Hong Kong government. And
So
then,
it literally says Hong Kong government?
yeah, Hong Kong Trade and Economic Department.
I see.
Yeah. And
Wow.
then I just, when I watch the video, it keeps saying Hong Kong is really a great city, something like that. So if you are entrepreneur or talent people, you must go to Hong Kong to find your chance there. And I just, oh my God, we just left Hong Kong.
Yeah, wow. It's crazy that they they're advertising here. It sounds like what they're doing is they're trying to take like all the Hong Kong and the Chinese citizens around the world. They're trying to influence them from abroad or from wow.
So it's like I know before, like Hong Kong government and Chinese government, they're doing this. Like they try to, how do you say that, they have some college to teach foreigner Chinese culture.
Where in China or
In US.
In US.
Yeah.
So they had a US college.
Yeah, in many parts in US they have that college, but I know recent year the US government, they know what happened, so they try to force those US college
to close.
To close, yeah.
Does that happen in Canada too?
Recently I think there is some MP in Canada saying something like, so it makes Canada and Chinese government relationship turn back, but I forgot what happened. Yeah.
Wow. That's really tough to hear. Like such a it's a very different perspective. Like, so I'm from the U.S., right? And so I'm taught like freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of press. Like these are values that are deep ingrained in my culture. And so to hear someone actively attacking, like which I think are some of the best freedoms in the world, right? Like I think that's truly one of the most positive things that's happened is being able to speak your mind freely.
Yeah, and because the people in China, actually I born in China, and then I have relatives and friends in China, and then during that time I try to talk to them, like it's very important to have freedom of speech and freedom of press, and they just, I think a lot of Chinese people, they will think that just like my relative, they said, oh, I just need money, and I just need my meal.
Yes.
If the government can secure my money and my food, I'm okay.
Yes.
Like freedom is not our priority.
Yes. Wow.
Yeah.
I felt this too. Like I had a Chinese friend, co-worker in the U.S. that I worked with in Ohio, and she moved maybe 25 years ago, maybe 30 years ago, and I asked her what was the most like challenging thing or difficult thing or the thing that you had to adapt most to when you moved to the United States, and her response was thinking for myself.
Yeah.
You know, because you're just taught to, but you know, like what's ever stated, right? And then so like when she would go to work and stuff, they'd be like, well, what's your opinion? And I don't want to say her name, but like, what do you think about this? Like, and it took her a really long time for her to be able to do that, to retrain her mind to think for herself.
That's good for her.
Very good for her.
Oh, actually, I just suddenly think there is an incident happened before recently. That's very interesting. It's like the Hong Kong police force, they have to join a competition in Winnipeg.
In Winnipeg.
Yeah, and then the Canadian government just let them in.
So say that again.
So the Canadian government just let the Hong Kong police force went into Canada.
To do what?
To Canada to do the police force sport competition.
Sport competition. Okay.
And then there's 300 Hong Kong police came into Canada. And then it just make some Hong Kong people worries. Because some of the Hong Kong people, they convict the law during 2019 protests. And then some of them are refugee here. And then people say, how can you secure their safety? Maybe when the police come here, they can hit them or like catch them back to Hong Kong or China secretly.
Wow. Wow. So they let the Chinese police force do a competition in Canada, but people are nervous that it's a front for finding Hong Kong citizens that spoke out against
Yes.
the government.
And then during that time, some Hong Kong people, they go out to protest. And then so the Hong Kong police just take pictures to their face very closely. So people may think, okay, if they have that record, when they go back to Hong Kong, those people can be arrested.
For sure.
Yeah.
And then now that the police is here, they're nervous because they have all that.
Yeah.
Wow, all that evidence against them.
Yeah, and then so people are just saying that how come the Canadian government can do that?
Yeah, that's I would imagine, I don't know. I think part of it is ignorance. You know, like they just don't know. I don't know. Like I really hope that's the reason, right? It's not bribery or something like this.
Yeah.
But yes, like I've heard lots of similar stories in the U.S. about when I mean similar stories. I'm not going to mention any specific examples because I haven't done the research. But like the Chinese government trying to do to influence the United States within, right, or gather information, or like doing the things that you're talking about.
And also before, I think the Chinese government, they want to like give some money to the Chinese professor in some university, so they can like get some important data to them. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I've heard that's very prevalent too. And it's probably all over, right? The bribery or trying to find some reason like, oh, can you give us the sensitive information, right? The secrets of, you know, tell the secrets to us.
Yeah, so I'm just thinking, oh, the Canadian government, US government, they need to be smart.
You know, I've actually have wondered this myself. I think I've wondered. I'm not accusing anybody, right? But if you think about like Vancouver particularly, right, it's a place where like what, like is it like 30% or something, like 20 or 30% of the population comes from like China or like Hong Kong or something like this, right? And that's in Vancouver in North America, right? And so let's say it's 1% or 2% of the population is influenced by or you know, their previous government or the Chinese government. That's a lot of influence in North America now, right? In Vancouver.
Yes.
I've wondered that. Like I'm sure that's strategic on their part. By the Chinese government part, right? Like I think part of that has to be strategic.
I think so. Like I think the immigration policy, they should be like more strict to the like Chinese population, maybe.
I don't want like myself. I don't want to say that because like I want people to come over,
Yes.
right? Who are trying to escape, but you also want to prevent people.
Yeah, it's very hard.
It's very hard.
Yeah,
yes.
even right now, the Canadian government, they have a policy for Hong Kong people to immigrate to Canada more easily. And then like I know, because when they're doing this, they welcome all the Hong Kong people in. And then I know some of the Hong Kong new immigrants, they work in government. Maybe they're police before. And then they support Hong Kong and Chinese government. But they can still move to Canada under this new pathway.
Wow.
But just like what you said, it's very hard to filter those people out.
For sure.
Yeah.
Like really, how do you know? Like, if someone has deep ties, right? Like, and unless you go through your life with a comb, right? And you comb through it, like everything. How do you know? Like maybe you have an alliance there, right? And all that takes is like for you to have like the right connections, but the rest of your life, it appears to be normal, except for these very maybe secretive things, right? So it's I don't know the answer to that, how to do that effectively.
True, it's really very hard.
Yes.
Yeah.
So let me ask this question. What do you think the forecast is for Hong Kong? Like, given where it's today, what do you think is going to happen?
I think Hong Kong will just become part of the China, like just like any of the city like China. It will lose its position in the world, like no longer an international city. Like I think right now many talented people, they leave Hong Kong already. Like in the school, a lot of teachers leave, a lot of social workers leave. So I heard that even some people, they don't have the teaching certificate. They can become teacher in Hong Kong right now.
Wow.
So I think like the education system, welfare system in Hong Kong, they will become like really bad later. And this will make people move away.
So you think people will just leave, or do you think it's going to be more like people stay, but then they just accept all of the new changes?
I think some people will accept the changes. Like I have some friends, they say, oh, I don't have kids, so I can accept the situation here now.
I see.
But when different countries, they announce like some policy to welcome Hong Konger to immigrants. A lot of my friends, they said, oh, okay, maybe I should move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And by move, you mean move out, leave.
Move out, leave, yeah.
And leave China/Hong Kong. Wow.
Yes. So and then more people from mainland China, they immigrants to Hong Kong. And then so it just like Hong Kong people, they're moving out to other part, and then the mainland Chinese people moving into Hong Kong.
I see. So, but by the mainland people moving in, right? They're bringing their culture, their values, their thinking into Hong Kong, and then which obviously that's going to influence the citizens there, and then that the people who are against it will just leave.
Yeah, and then they're like now the chief executive in Hong Kong, they are assigned by the Chinese government.
Wow.
And also in the council, all of the MP there, most of them are pro-government.
Pro-Chinese government.
Yeah.
And for our U.S. friends, MP, it's like your governor, right? the MP is close to like your governor or like, right?
Yeah. So when we have some law or policy, they can vote. So because now the number of them are higher than the democracy MP, so they always win.
Wow.
Yeah. So like Hong Kong is no longer that special because before they said, oh, it's a special area. We have our own government. But now the government is just like, it's just like a Popeye. They just like controlled by the Chinese government.
Oh, you mean puppets?
Yeah, sorry.
Puppets.
Yeah.
No, you're fine.
Yeah.
Don't be sorry.
And then so actually just directly under Chinese government right now, I think.
Wow. That's really sad to hear. Like I knew in the news and stuff a couple years ago things were changing, right? Like China was kind of moving in to Hong Kong, but I didn't know it was this bad.
And because China wants the money from Hong Kong, because we have a lot of money in the government, and then they propose a very ridiculous plan saying that, oh, because Hong Kong, we don't have enough land, so we need to make an island by ourselves.
An island.
An island. So
for you to move to?
Yeah, for people to move to. And it's very hard and it costs a lot to build an island. So people just guessing that, oh, because the Chinese government want to get the money from Hong Kong government, so they need to say, oh, we have such plan, and we will recruit some Chinese company to do this project, so they can steal the money for Hong Kong government.
I see. So
Yeah.
so they can launder the money basically from through this project
Yes.
to the hands of the Chinese government. Wow.
And actually many people, they oppose this project, but because we don't have enough representative in the council, so
It went through. It passed.
yes.
So they're doing this. They're going to build an island for people to live.
Yes. So actually, but you have many options. You can develop the rural area. So, but
no.
Yeah.
And what's the situation for people trying to leave Hong Kong? Like, is it hard to leave, or like hard as in like the government's trying to prevent people from leaving?
For some of them, it's very hard. Like especially someone they are in jail before because of the protests, and then also some of them maybe they're active in the protest before, because when they apply the permit, they have to get a police check. And then some of them will worry that will make the Hong Kong police pay attention to them. And then maybe they will become very risky to leave, because before some of people, they try to leave and they were stopped by the police in the airport. So now Hong Kong Watch, they try to lobby the Canadian government to remove this requirement. Like people no longer have to do police check anymore when they're applying the permit.
And who wants to do this?
There is an organization in Canada and in UK called Hong Kong Watch. So they mainly try to like lobby the Canadian government and the UK government to launch some policy to protect Hong Kong people in Hong Kong and also overseas, and also to like telling that, oh, China is doing something like threatening the world, something like that.
So the group it's called
Hong Kong Watch.
Hong Kong Watch.
Yes.
What they want is the Canadian government to not look at Hong Kong arrest records of people. Is that what you're saying?
So they just removed the requirement, like for the police check.
So if you're an immigrant from Hong Kong into like Vancouver, to not force people to go through a police check
Yes, in Hong Kong.
because if you protest, you get a record.
Yes, and
I
then
see.
even they don't have the record, but some people they do it securely, but they believe that the police already have eyes on them, and then maybe when they try to leave, they will stop them.
And so was this passed or?
No,
No,
they're
yeah.
trying to
I see.
lobbying, and then I think recently they successfully lobby that is like the Hong Kong pathway, and then it changed the policy. So before that, it's like people have to graduate within 10 years. So they can go through this pathway to apply for PR
Yes.
in Canada. But now they remove this restriction.
I see.
So many Hong Kong people in different ages, they are more easily to immigrants to Canada right now. So even some of them saying that, oh, maybe I won't go to UK. I would choose
Yes.
Canada. Yeah.
Wow. That's a very tough issue. Like, for me as an outsider, I'd say, well, like we want to do background checks on people or police checks on people when they're immigrating, right? But if the government is purposefully arresting people to give them a record so that they can't leave, you want to prevent that too. So having both of those sides, right? Like that's a very complex issue.
Very complex. So
Wow.
so I know that's make them very hard to lobby the government. Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about the good aspect of Hong Kong, right? Like I imagine there's lots of amazing things about Hong Kong that you love. Like culturally, I'm sure it's a beautiful place. So why don't you describe that a little bit?
I think Hong Kong people are very creative because before I moved to Calgary, I don't realize that. Yeah, I don't realize that I'm living in a city that are really highly developed, and we are very convenient. We have like underground train. It's very easy for us to move around. We don't need a car.
Yes.
So many people in Hong Kong, they don't drive. And then we have food from different country.
Okay.
And then people, like, it's very convenient, just like living in Vancouver. Like, maybe even in midnight, you just go to somewhere near your home. You can have some good food to eat.
Ah, okay. This is one thing I don't like about Vancouver is restaurants, they close so early.
Oh.
You know, like 9 o'clock on a Tuesday, everything's closed.
Oh, yeah, and Hong Kong is very convenient. Even
Yes.
some store, they open 24 hours.
Wow.
So also it's very close to countryside. So like, and close to ocean. And then so like maybe during the weekend, you just have 1 hour taking the bus. You can go to a country park
Oh, okay.
to hike. Yeah.
So you can do like lots of outdoor activities like hiking, going to the beach.
Yeah, and then because it's belonged to UK before, so people there before they speak English very well.
Yes.
Yeah, so also they really accept like Western culture and also the Chinese culture. So very interestingly, in Hong Kong, we celebrate both Western festival and Chinese festival.
That's cool. I didn't know that.
So
yeah,
we
it
have
makes
a lot
sense.
of holiday,
Yeah.
a lot of public holiday.
Well, I would move there just for the holidays, you know. Give me twice as many holidays and I'll accept for sure.
Yeah, so before that, I don't realize this. And then like when I moved to Calgary, like sorry, I have to say that the transportation in Calgary is not that good. Yeah, and then just like, that time just like, when I living in Hong Kong, I just like living in a very high developed city. And now in Calgary, just like I go back to a like second or third developed city.
Yeah.
I have a feeling like this.
I'm from Ohio, and it's a little less developed than Vancouver for sure.
Yeah.
Right? Like the Sky Trains and the transportation is much easier. Like even downtown Cincinnati, it's much more driving focused.
Yeah.
Here, it's much more public transport focused.
Yeah.
I do enjoy that.
And then also, like, I mentioned that people are very creative and people are really accept to new things. They're very open-minded. Like, because I'm a social worker here, and then in Hong Kong, I also work in non-profit.
Yes.
And then I see, we have very creative project, and like, we have like expressive art, like therapy, something like that. And I think, in here, maybe people are very open-minded and very popular here, but I can't see it. Like expressive art, what's that?
Describe that. Like you're saying in Vancouver, people are.
I think in Calgary.
In Calgary.
Yeah,
okay.
I think Vancouver is better.
I see. And so, what's your definition of like closed-minded, or like what do you see that people are less closed or more closed-minded? Like in what ways?
I think I can't say it's closed-minded, but I think it's like because I think before I think it's very popular already in Western country, those things, but I can't imagine in Calgary, no, not much organization they're doing that. Let's say in Hong Kong, recently we have a lot of social enterprise. Yeah, but in Calgary, not much.
I think part of that's just the amount of people, right? Like it's much more rural, right? Like the population's more dispersed. I would imagine that's a big reason for it.
Yeah, and because I work in an organization in Calgary before, it have a lot of people from different ethnic group, from different country, and then I think they just like bring their own culture to the company, and then making something not really good working environment, and then some issue happen, what they deal with it is very lacking behind. And then I just like, but in Hong Kong, it's very modern. How they deal with such issue is very modern.
That makes sense.
So it's made me very surprised, like, I can't imagine something will happen in Calgary, in Canada.
So that was a little shock for you, or was moving to a more rural area.
Yeah.
In Hong Kong, is there less rural? I'm assuming, like it's just so heavily populated, such a small area.
Yes.
I see. Interesting.
Yeah. Have you been to Hong Kong before?
No. I've never been to Asia. I've always wanted to go and visit. Right, like I've heard amazing things about it.
Yeah. You should go, but maybe you're safe. I hope you're safe.
I don't know.
After tonight.
You're scaring me now. Like, what I'll have to do is I will not publish the podcast, go, and then I'll publish.
Oh, that's a smart idea. You should do that. Yeah, and we have a lot of great street food in Hong Kong.
I've heard about the food choices, that it's very, like just in China in general, like that like even here you can get a lot of good food. Like I love Chinese food, like dim sum and stuff like this.
Yeah, some people even told me that, do you know that the Hong Kong dim sum in Vancouver is even better in Hong Kong?
Is it?
Yeah, because like remember the 1989 that immigration wave? So a lot of Hong Kong people, they also immigrants to Vancouver.
Yes.
So the dim sum maker, they are from that time from Hong Kong, so they stay here. Yeah.
I see. So you're saying the immigrants that came in the 80s, they kept a traditional style of dim sum, but then they've had improvements or more modern styles that's not here.
Yeah, that's the point. And then,
I see.
Yeah, and then because some of the dim sum is very very hard to make, and it's really, you need to spend a lot of time to make it.
Yes.
So the Hong Kong people now, they won't make it anymore. Some restaurant maybe. But here in Vancouver, they still will do that.
Yes. I love the dim sum. I have a friend, and he loves it. We go out to dim sum like once a month, and it's fun.
Yes. Oh, suddenly I have some interesting thing come to my mind.
Go for it. Let's hear it.
It's like I mentioned that I work as a social worker in a non-profit, serving newcomers. And then that time I realized that it's like we have Ukrainian coming to join us. And then they are also having work permit to come to Canada. And they receive a lot of benefits from the Canadian government. And then, but the Hong Kong community, they are also under work permit to come to Canada. They don't have any benefit.
I see.
Yeah.
So you're saying it's a little unfair.
It's a little bit unfair, we have a system in Calgary, like people, if they don't report tests for the last year, they can't apply for the low-income transit pass. And then so they need a social worker to issue a letter to prove that they're low-income family. And then my organization just told me that we can issue for work permit people, but except Ukrainian. Yes, and that time I'm just thinking, why Ukrainian have this privilege? And then the Hong Kong people, they are also under work permit.
Yes.
They don't have such privilege.
I would think it's because it's more like the war going on over there.
Yeah,
right?
I think so.
Like it's a more dire situation.
Yes.
But it's similar. What's happening in similar is not a good word. It's a very different tactic, right? Like meaning Russia invaded Ukraine military force, right?
Yes.
But they're doing the same. But the Chinese are doing the same thing to Hong Kong, but they're doing it more economically, more mentally, right?
Mentally.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I just feel like because some of the people they holding the work permit to come to Canada, saying that like the Canadian government are welcoming them, but they don't have much support to them. And then after 3 years, 1 year actually, they can apply for the permanent residence here. And at that time, they already know everything. So they don't need any settlement support anymore. So my point is like when they just come to here, they need more support.
I see.
But they didn't provide to them.
So you're saying for a new immigrant
Yes.
from Hong Kong to Canada, you sometimes need a lot of support when you first move, and you feel that's lacking.
Yeah, that is lacking. Because like I know IRCC, they just can't, the number reserved as a PR. So if you are a work permit, they don't count. So the agency, if they serve people with work permit, they can report this number to IRCC to get funding.
Wow. Interesting.
Yeah, so but Ukrainian, they're exceptional. So if you serve Ukrainian with work permit, they can be counted.
I see. So I see your perspective here.
Yeah, and I'm just thinking, but Hong Kong people, if Canadian government really want them to stay in Canada, they really need more support because it's unlike other immigrants from other countries because most of them, they get their PR. then move to Canada, and then they can get the support, the settlement support, YRA. But Hong Kong people, they have to come to here to study and also to do work for 1 year and then apply for the PR. And then within this 1 year, they don't have many support.
I see what you're saying. Yeah. That is an important issue to break up. Like I'd say just in general for any immigrant, right? Like if you're coming over, that first year can be extremely difficult. Like trying to pay for your place, find a job, like just when you move somewhere, starting to brand new life is very difficult.
Yes, and I know some people, they come to Canada, Hong Kong people, because they experience very difficult to find a job here related to their original profession. So they will think, oh, I want to move, like go back to Hong Kong or to UK. Yeah.
Very cool. Interesting.
So I think it's important to think how to retain those people in Canada.
Yeah, I agree. It's actually a problem in Canada. It's retaining people. There is this trend where people move to Canada and then they get their PR, they get the citizenship, they get the passport, and then they leave.
Yes.
So I think retaining people, keeping people to stay, that's something that we need to work on.
Yeah, I think it's not just Hong Kong people, but people from other countries face the same difficulties. Like, when they can't do their own professional jobs. Many of them, like their license, is not being accepted in Canada. I have some colleagues, like in my past organization, they are lawyers, they are teachers, they're doctors in their home country, but when they move to Canada, useless. So they're doing like something that not related to their own professional anymore.
I've heard this from several people. I have a friend from Mexico, and she has the same issue where she moved and she was like a dentist before, and then now she's not, right? And she's working now on getting her what's it called? To become a dental assistant, right? So like she's redoing education to become a dental assistant, which is much lower than a dentist.
Yeah.
So it's definitely an issue of like if you have education or degrees or some certification and you come here, you have to pretty much start over or take a bunch of classes or go back to school in order to validate your credentials or get them back.
Yes. I know the government, they're trying to figure out any, like, I just know in Alberta, like some MP, they come to us and then they say, oh, any strategies you can, or suggestion you can provide to us, like how we can solve these issues. So it's very good to know that they recognize this issue and trying to figure it out.
And that they have that they want feedback, right?
Yeah,
that
they want feedback.
That they're trying to improve. Which is very different than what's happening in Hong Kong right now.
Yes.
Let's take a quick break. I'm parched. I forgot my water. I need some water, and then we can start over or start again.
Yeah, sure.
Yes.
Thank you.
Well, welcome back, folks. We took a quick bathroom break there. One topic that we didn't talk about that we were just discussing was some of the censorship that's happening in Hong Kong. So talk about that, like media, like how is the Chinese government censoring content in Hong Kong?
I think now most of the media in Hong Kong, they are controlled by the government already. So some of the pro-democratic media, they use different reasons to like force them to close.
Force them to what?
To close down, to shut down.
Oh, okay, close.
Yeah. So right now the media, most of them are pro-China and pro-government.
Mm-hmm.
And then so I'm afraid that they will try to also change the history of what happened in Hong Kong before, like in 2019. And then also the newspaper that time. And then recently I also heard a friend, she wanted to apply for BNO to immigrants to UK. And then because some of the people, they don't know they are qualified for it or not. So we need to send an email to ask the UK immigration department about that. And then my friend said she can send the email to them, saying that there is something happened and this email is invalid anymore. And then I tried to help her to send in Canada, and it works.
Wow. So she was in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
And she couldn't send the email out.
Yes.
But then in Canada, you could. Mm-hmm. Wow. So they're on the computer network there, or there's some sort of firewall that's blocking communications in and out of Hong Kong.
Yeah, I think so. Is that happening?
Wow. Because I knew that China, they had what's called the Great Firewall.
Yeah.
But I know that didn't apply to Hong Kong for a long time. But it sounds like that's starting to.
Yeah, it's that too, because in China, people can go to Facebook, can go to Google, WhatsApp. Yeah, so also the media is fully under the government control.
Even the social media?
I think they will ban some wording. So those sensitive wording, they will block it.
I see. So like you can access Facebook, those things in Hong Kong, but they might censor some criticisms.
I think they won't block it, but because there is some national security law, so people now, they are very afraid to post something related to government or policy.
I see.
Yeah. And like in China, like because I have relatives there, they said that their news are the facts. Like, but I think I told them, oh, do you know their news is filtered by the Chinese government? And then she said, yes, because otherwise we will have a lot of fake news. If our news is filtered by the government, they are true.
Wow. So that's the thinking of people in Hong Kong?
In China.
In China. Okay.
Yeah, so I'm just very afraid that Hong Kong will become like that later.
Yeah, for sure. That's something that's definitely you have to worry about.
Like especially my friend have this situation recently. Yeah.
That's crazy that she was trying to email someone in the UK and couldn't.
I think because like the Hong Kong government, they are also trying their best to prevent people to move to other countries, because you know a lot of Hong Kong people, they are very rich, and they will bring their money to other countries.
And they don't want that. They don't
want that happen.
Is there a, like, I know in China there's a law on how much money you can remove a year. Is this true in Hong Kong or no?
No, still it's okay to bring money as much as you can. Yeah.
That's good. I'm imagining people are worried about that too, right? Like at some point.
Yes.
And what's the currency in Hong Kong?
It's Hong Kong dollars.
Hong Kong dollars.
Yeah. So actually it has the calculation related to US dollars, I think.
Oh, it's somehow tied to the US dollar?
Yeah, it's tied with the US dollars.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Oh, I didn't know that. So people saying that in 2019, people saying that, oh, the stronger punishment is untied the US dollar with the Hong Kong dollars. So some of the people just suggest that US government should take this move.
I'm sorry, to take the move to do what?
To untie.
I see. Why do people want to undo that?
Because people think this is the stronger punishment to the Chinese Communist Party.
It's punishment to the party
to the Chinese government
to remove the relationship between the dollar and the Hong Kong.
Yes.
Why does that negatively affect China?
Because like China just want to get more money from Hong Kong, and because Hong Kong is an international city, there's a lot of bank, a lot of foreign company
Yes.
in Hong Kong. But if it was untied, so this company will remove maybe, and they will strongly affect the economy in Hong Kong.
I see. So people want to make the economy in Hong Kong hurt so that it hurts the Chinese government.
Yes.
I see. Because the Chinese government's starting to control Hong Kong. I see. But that's not good for people in Hong Kong.
I think so. Yeah. And then because Hong Kong is one of the stock market, like the London, New York, and the Hong Kong. So Hong Kong is really benefits from like Hong Kong dollar is tied with the US dollar.
I see. I was not aware of that. And so by tied, like how exactly is it tied? Is it just conversion? $1 is one Hong Kong or
one Hong Kong dollar is like 7.7 something US dollars.
But how is it tied is my question. Like the relationship. Do you know or no?
I don't know.
You don't know? Okay. That's fine. I don't know.
Sorry.
No, you're fine.
Audience can check by themselves. Google.
That's fine. No worries. Interesting. So, wow. I was not aware of that relationship, and but again, I understand people want to hurt China in that way, but that doesn't sound good for the people of Hong Kong either. Yeah, that's a very tough situation, right? The trying to punish the Chinese government, but you don't want to punish the Hong Kong people either.
Yes, always very complicated.
Yes, as everything is very complicated.
Because that time we even have protests to the U.S. How to say that?
Embassy?
Embassy, yeah, in Hong Kong. And then just ask U.S. to punish Hong Kong government and the Chinese government.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
And some protesters, they even learn how to sing U.S. national song.
I know this song, but I'll save people from me saying.
I also know how to sing it.
You know how to sing it? We can sing it together. But before we do that, we should probably sing the Canada song since we're in Canada.
Okay, I have to learn for it.
We both might fail on this one.
Yeah.
Something else I want to talk about. You briefly mentioned it that you're concerned about the redefining or the modification of history in the history books. Describe this a little bit more.
Like, you remember I mentioned the Beijing Tiananmen incident before? And then because that incident, they didn't mention in Chinese history book.
I see.
So they banned it. So actually, Hong Kong is the only place within China can mention this incident before. But right now, they can't. Because every year in June 4, people will go out to light a candle to memorize the people who was being killed. And then, but 2 years ago or 3 years ago, the Hong Kong government, they banned this gathering.
Wow.
So people are no longer can
Go on.
do this. Yeah. So I'm thinking, if people don't do this, and then people will start to forget what happened in our history.
Wow. So they're even preventing people from memorializing or respecting people who died in the protest or.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So like I'm also afraid like just the same like 2019 the history how the government they will describe it. They may say, it's a riot. It's not a democratic protest.
Wow. It's very concerning. Very concerning.
Very concerning. And then I met a girl in my hometown in China, and then she just a grade. I think it's just 8 years old, something like that. And then suddenly she said, we have to love our country, no matter what our country do to us. And I just, oh my God, you're just brainwashed by the Chinese government.
And this was in Hong Kong?
China.
In China. So it was an 8-year-old in China, and this was their perspective.
Yeah, and I'm just afraid because also they don't know what June 4th happened.
On June 4th?
June 4th. Like the Beijing Tiananmen incident.
Oh, okay.
I didn't
know June 4th. Okay.
Yeah.
And
so all the wording is banned in Chinese social media.
Wow. And give me the name of that incident. I think it's important to say it. And you've said it a couple of times, and I'm just not hearing exactly what's the name of the incident?
Beijing Tiananmen.
Tiananmen?
Yeah, that is a place in Beijing.
How do you spell that? You don't know.
I don't know.
It's fine. It's fine.
Sorry,
No, you're fine. It helps me sometimes to pronounce to like see the spelling, but Tiananmen, the Chinese Tiananmen incident.
Yeah.
I see.
So I just worry that like Hong Kong, the history will be like being destroyed.
And is there any evidence that's go on?
Oh, sorry. Actually, like because Hong Kong, a lot of street name is from the UK name, like Victoria Park.
Yes.
And then,
Interesting.
Yeah, and then recently, the Hong Kong government just want to remove it.
They
change all the name.
to Chinese names. Interesting.
But I think this really is a part of our history, so I don't think we should change it. Yeah.
And what do the people feel when like your friends or when they say, hey, they're going to rename all the streets or the parks? How do people feel about that?
I think they also feel a bit angry because it is like our culture. It's part of our culture. It's really a really interesting things that we have those Western name for our street name. Yeah.
For sure. That's I think that's very culturally significant.
Yes. And then sorry, I just taking you far away from the June 4.
No, keep going.
Yeah, and then I need to go back to June 4. And what happened now in Hong Kong, like the government stopped people to memorizing it. So even
memorializing.
Memorizing it. Thank you. I learned a new word today.
You were saying memorize.
Oh yeah.
So like memorizing is like remembering. Like you read something like I want to memorize the like verb verbatim, right?
Oh, okay.
And then memorialize.
Memorialize.
Yes.
Can you be my English teacher?
I am happy to be your English teacher. Now, it's going to be bad English, so just be prepared for that.
I can teach you Cantonese to return.
If you do this, I think 10 years I'll still be learning like...
Yeah, and then so now people, they still try to, but even they bring a flower to the street, they will stop by the police and bring them to a police car.
Wow.
Yeah, on that day. And if you wear black t-shirt, they will also think, oh, you are doing such thing, and you need to go to the police car.
Wow. So by taking a flower or wearing certain clothing,
Yeah.
they'll arrest you.
Yeah.
Wow.
They're not saying arrest you, but they'll just suspect you. Yeah.
So they'll intimidate you. They'll put you in the police car, say,
Yeah.
"What are you doing?"
Yeah.
Question you. They'll let you leave, but it's intimidation.
Yes.
In Hong Kong, are you required to carry ID? Is that a requirement?
Yeah, it's a requirement.
If a police ask you, "I want to see your ID," you have to give, and if not, you're in trouble.
Yes.
Wow. This is one thing I like about North America is, in general, unless you've done something wrong, so one, you're not required to have ID, but two, only in certain situations you have to identify yourself.
Oh, that's good.
It's like a right of privacy, right?
I see.
Yes.
Wow, good to know that.
Yes.
And then actually I have my theater, a non-profit here in Calgary.
Yes, you started a nonprofit.
Yeah, and then why I started because of June 4.
Okay.
Yeah, because I remember that time I just come to Calgary for 1 year, and then I heard the news saying that people are no longer can memorialize.
Memorialize.
Memorialize. I'm a best student. And then no longer memorize. I know you want to correct me.
No, I don't want to. As long as I know what to,
Okay.
as long as I know, I'm happy.
Okay, thank you. And then so they're not allowed to do that in Hong Kong anymore, and I feel really angry, and then I just afraid that people will start to forget this history, and just like later, maybe 2019, the protest, people will start to forget it. So I want to do a drama, and then it is about June 4th, that incident. And then so I try to call people to be the volunteer to support this production.
So what? One, have you done the production yet?
No.
Okay, so you're trying to create it.
Because when we are creating it, we are doing a rehearsal, and then I think, it's very hard to find a good actor in Calgary. Especially you have to speak in Cantonese.
Okay.
So it's very hard that time. So we have a lot of challenges during our rehearsal. So after 3 months, I just stopped it. And then I just thinking, I need to find a more suitable performers to do that.
This is you said a drama, so is it on like a video?
No, it's a live drama.
Okay, interesting. So like a play or a musical?
Yeah, it's a play.
A play, okay. And so you were starting it, and it didn't, you were having difficulty finding actors.
Yes.
Vancouver is a good place to find theatrical people.
So.
Yeah,
in Vancouver, maybe much easier.
Yes, and I would imagine there's a higher population of Cantonese speakers in Vancouver.
Yes, but I didn't give up, so I have another chance coming to me. So that time there is a Hong Kong movie. It is about the 2019 protests in Hong Kong. So it was banned in Hong Kong. So people don't have a chance to watch it in Hong Kong. And then another organization just asked us, do you want to screen this film in Calgary?
Okay, yes.
Yeah, and then I said, yes, why not? like we need to let more people know what happened
I
during
see.
that time.
So you're trying as your organization to spread the news of what's happening in Hong Kong to people in your area.
Yeah, so it's a documentary.
I see.
So we try to screen it because even some Hong Konger, they're in Calgary because they didn't experience the protests by themselves that time. So some of them, they don't know the details about it. So this documentary is very meaningful for them to learn more. And then we also hope that others people like the English speaking people or people from other ethics group, they can know more what happened in Hong Kong. So we start the screening and then we have over 1,000 people watch this documentary in Calgary.
Was it on like a big screen outside, like, or was it screening like?
We bought a cinema to do that.
Okay, very cool.
Yeah. So later we start to screen others Hong Kong movies. Some of them are also banned in Hong Kong. So I start to think that it's very important for us to preserve our own history and our own culture in overseas because in Hong Kong they're now being destroyed.
I see. So
Yeah.
so you're part of what you're trying to do is preserve the culture of Hong Kong here, so that it doesn't disappear forever.
Yes.
Wow.
So I try to organize also some workshop, some art workshop, and then we have a very signature event that is the Calgary Hong Kong Culture Day. So before that, when I find Calgary, I see there is like Japanese festival and then Korean festival, but no Hong Kong festival. Yeah, so that why not? I should make one for us.
Well, very cool. That takes a lot of initiative. Have you always been like that, or like what prompted you? Like why did you decide to start this organization?
I think it's the helplessness in Hong Kong. Like that time when I was in Hong Kong, I'm not that fun like. I'm also very, I think it's in the middle. Like I'm not that active.
Yes.
And then, to be honest, before 2019, I didn't care about like policy, what happened in our society. I just like, I just have my own life with friends, having dinner, having good food, something like that. So what happened in 2019 is really an alarm for me to realize that, oh my God, I'm losing my freedom.
Yes.
Yeah. And that time because I go to protests, and then this is my first time go to protests, and then I can smell the tear gas. And that time I have a thought in my mind that I did nothing wrong. So why the government treat us like that?
I see.
Yeah. Whereas I think, we are doing something that's good for all the citizens here. So why we will having some tear gas, and this tear gas we pay the tax, and you use our tax to buy those tear gas to hurt us.
Yeah. So they used your dollars to hurt you, right?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
So,
I know what you mean.
Yeah, but during that time it's very helpless because we don't have weapon, and then the only way we can do is just go protest every week.
And then so that's what started you in this activist or trying to be involved in the community. Was that going to the protest and seeing how they treated you guys?
Yes, and then but that time I'm not that active, so I'm not that fun like. I just in the mass protest.
Yes.
Just one of them. And then so we are feeling very helpless because like we have go well out, but the government didn't change. And then that time I leave Hong Kong. I decided to leave because I feel really stressful. I lose around 8 kilograms just within like 3 months. Yeah.
That's a lot for 3 months.
That's a lot. And I just mentally feel very stressful. And I just thinking, oh, all of a sudden, the government can take everything from me. They can put me into jail. So I think I just, like, even I'm not those frontline protester, but I also already feel that stress. So I think, oh, I must to leave. And then my friend told me, oh, when you leave, you won't care Hong Kong anymore. When you're in another country, you won't care anymore. And I said, but I think no, sometimes we need to do something outside. And then now they totally agree with me because they found out that because of national security law, it restricts them a lot.
Yeah.
So they now can't do anything in Hong Kong.
Wow.
Yeah, so they now said, oh, we rely on the people overseas to help us to like tell people what happened in Hong Kong right now.
So is it harder to leave Hong Kong now than it was 3-4 years ago?
I think now it's still okay. Just like, but I don't know what my friend experience is like. She can't send out an email, so it made me thinking maybe it become more difficult.
Yes.
Yeah. So, so I think if people want to leave, should be quick. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I heard in China, start from 2 years or 3 years ago, they already will collect people's passport. So if you want to go out to other country, you need to ask them to take back your passport.
Wow.
So this can also happen in Hong Kong.
For sure.
Yeah, no one know where it will come.
No, yeah, I think that's a great point. You don't know when it's going to happen, but if it's happening directly outside, right? Like Hong Kong and China, like they're on the same continent, right? Like they're so close together. Like if it's going to happen in China, it's going to happen in Hong Kong too.
Yeah.
100%.
So that time when I come to Calgary, when I read the news, I was just very angry, and I think, oh, I'm in a free world right now, so I can do the things that Hong Kong in Hong Kong they can't do. So I just want to do my part, and then so actually I love acting.
Acting
in Hong
yes.
Kong. So that time I'm also thinking, oh, maybe I should organize a theater for Hong Kong people can enjoy acting. And also at the same time, we can do some meaningful play.
Yes, I know what you mean. So like you enjoy the acting, but you also like want to contribute back and spread the word on what's happening.
Yes. So that's why I start my organization. But
and what's the name of your organization?
Echo Theatre. So we have a Facebook and IG.
Yes.
If you're interested, you can search.
Echo Theatre? How do you spell that?
ECHO.
ECHO Theatre.
Yes.
And what's the website?
We have another website, but we
Yeah.
have Facebook and IG. So
that's the easiest.
Yeah.
And how do they get in touch with you?
you can send me an email or PM me in our Facebook page.
And so I guess what's the handle for Facebook?
I think it's Echo Theatre Calgary.
Echo Theatre Calgary. So
Yes.
at Echo Theatre Calgary.
Yes.
And that's on Facebook. And what about IG?
IG is the same.
It's the same. Okay. Yeah, that's for sure. If people are interested in helping the cause of spreading the culture and what's happening in Hong Kong to Canada and abroad, then they should get in touch for sure.
Yes, and then also can join our Hong Kong Culture Day. It's a very fun one-day event. So
And that's in Calgary.
in Calgary.
Okay, interesting. I'll see about that. When is the event?
Oh, it already done this year.
This year? Okay. So next year, when is it?
Should be early September.
Early September. Oh, okay.
And very surprisingly, we have Hong Konger from Toronto, Vancouver join our event this year.
Do you try to do anything about connecting cities together or like hosting it in like multiple locations?
I don't think I will do that because even in Vancouver, we have Hong Kong Fair. It is organized by others organization in Vancouver. So I think it's just like I will take care of Calgary part.
That makes sense.
And then because originally I think the Culture Day is for gathering Hong Kong community and then promote like Hong Kong culture, especially for our next generation.
Yes.
But why not? I also think that it's a good method to also let others peoples know about Hong Kong and Hong Kong culture. Yeah. So it's very important, like in our city, we promote diversity, inclusion is very important. And then I think some of the Hong Konger, they want to make people know that we are different from Chinese. So we are Hong Konger. We are not Chinese.
I see.
And then I think we need to like do maybe some event together so we can invite other community to join us to know what is Hong Konger.
I see. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that makes sense because like even for me, like, you know, like I knew, like for the longest time, like I'll be honest, like when I was younger, like, you know, maybe 7 years ago, I just assumed Hong Kong was part of China, you know, like, and then I learned, like, you know, maybe like 5 years ago. So, oh no, like they're different. And like Hong Kong was by British rule. And then now that's starting, you know, obviously that changed. But I think for a lot of people living in North America, we don't know about, you know, we think of them as the same. And so what you're doing, I think, is very important in that regard, letting people know the differences and sharing your culture.
Yeah, I hope I can do that because I know it's very challenging. Like people, when they move to here and then they have kid here, when the kid grow up in Canada, they may start to forget their own culture. But I think it's important to preserve our own culture.
I think so too. Like until you mentioned it here, I didn't really think about trying to preserve your culture in a different land. I mean that's part of what you're doing, right? Is you're trying to preserve because you feel it's under attack, and if you don't preserve it here, then it's going to be lost forever.
Yeah, because we're also saying that like Jewish, they have a religion to gather them, to making them, after several hundred years, they still, I want to go back to our hometown.
Yes.
They have this idea in their mind, but Hong Kong people, like we also say that, we want to go back to Hong Kong. We want Hong Kong to become the past like before. So, but how can we like still gather Hong Kong people in overseas?
Yeah.
So I think maybe culture can be one of the way to do that.
Definitely, 100%. I think what you're doing is very good, very smart, and it benefits the community.
And I think it's like, I hope can also help Hong Kong people to immigrant to Canada easily. Because I know people come to Canada, they feel very lonely.
Yes.
And then they don't know much friend, especially like Hong Kong friend. They don't know how to know each other.
Yes.
So I hope, when I'm organizing those events, they have a chance to make new friends there. And
are you able to reach out to people outside of the Hong Kong community? Like do you notice like native Canadians or people who've immigrated from other countries? Like, are you seeing people outreach to those people as well?
This year is our second year, and I think this year we start to have some people from other community to join us, and then it is really nice. Yeah, because that's what I want to do also. Like people also come here to see, because we have a lot of vendors, so they can know, oh, Hong Konger, they have a very great designer there. So we can exchange some brilliant idea together, and we have also some great actors.
Yes.
Yeah, and then all the community, they can enjoy the play by
Yeah.
them. Yeah.
I think that's very cool. Let me ask this question. So for your organization, what type of people do you need, or skills that would be beneficial, like volunteers? What type of people do you need to volunteer?
I think we need like all of them, like design, website development, and then drama, and then like if you have some talents like singing, dancing, you're welcome to join us. Yes, and then because that from next year, I hope we can invite 1 to 2 others FX community to join our festival. So we have chance to learn from each other. This is a great chance to do cultural exchange.
I think that's a great idea to do the cultural exchange. Rather than just keep everything in your community, you're trying to share with others and then bring in as well. So I think that's really cool.
Yeah, like I think before we have a movie talking about the Pakistani community in Hong Kong, the refugee in Hong Kong, and we invite the Pakistani Association, some of the members, to watch the movie.
Ah, that's cool.
And then so they're very surprised that, oh, there's a lot of Pakistani refugee in Hong Kong.
I wasn't aware of that.
And then I just like, yeah, in the future I want to do more about this. And I also want to like maybe do a volunteer team, so to serve others communities. Like I want to let Hong Kong people know that we are not just taking benefits, just enjoy the benefits in Canada, but we are willing to contribute to Canadian society. We are happy to serve other community.
I think that's very, very admirable and very good. I've heard this complaint from people before that there's a feeling sometimes that the immigrants come over and they're just so busy on trying to get their lives together that they don't want to contribute back to the community. So what you're doing is very very good, for very healthy for the community, and for sure.
Because I heard that, like, I don't think this is fact or not, because I just have a friend told me that they live in Toronto, and Toronto now is like very split into different parts. Like the Latino community, they have their own area. The Chinese community, they have their own area. So they now think it's not really inclusion. It's like just like very separate.
I'd say in Vancouver, that's very common. That we have different areas, like where people, they just tend to live with people that they're familiar with, right?
Yeah.
It's one thing I like about that is that you can go and like if you go to North Vancouver, then you get the feeling of what it's like to be in Iran or like Persia, right? If you go to Richmond, you really get a feeling of what it is like to be in China, for instance, right?
Yes.
But one negative thing is that you lack some of that cross community sharing, right? That you're describing. So I think what you're doing there, it's very cool.
Yeah, I know some organization in Vancouver, they're also doing the same way. I think they even do better. Like they are called Hong Kong House. So they're trying to encourage like people to serve back
I'm just going to bring this a little closer. No, you're fine.
The
Yes.
Canadian community,
Yes.
like they will encourage, like now it's a wildfire in Yellowknife before. So they encourage the Hong Kong community to donate.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
And they like do some like ask people to donate their blood.
Donate their
The blood donation.
Oh, blood. I thought you said butt.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine. No, yeah.
Yeah, so they also go to different festival like Taiwan Festival and other market to have a booth there to promote Hong Kong culture and then let others community know more about Hong Kong.
Well, I think what you're doing is very admirable, and it's very good for the community. And so I really appreciate you sharing a little bit about Hong Kong, the culture, what's going on over there, and I'm really excited for the work that you're doing in Calgary, for sure.
Thank you.
Yes.
I hope I can keep doing it. It's very tired.
I can imagine. Me, I get tired doing this, and this isn't nearly as much as what you're doing, right? So, congratulations and thank you for coming on and sharing your story.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, yes. Thank you, Veronica. See you, everybody.
See you.
Yes, bye-bye.
Bye.
Very cool.